Yeah, 3-0 atop the NFC East. I don't care what happens with the New York Giants. It's inconsequential. The Philadelphia Eagles have arrived, and so has Jalen Hurts. Remember the conversations that were going on back and forth? You were thinking, well, maybe they don't have their guy. Yeah, at the very least, we'll talk about the good, the bad, and whatever else you want to extrapolate from that game. But let's start where we need to. And granted, in the second quarter and the second quarter alone, this was an absolute pounding of the Washington Commanders. They explode, absolutely explode on that Washington defense to the point where it wasn't even close. And man, how can you not right now feel so good about where this team is heading into a tough Jacksonville game and just a division that's not going away? So one thing that I truly loved about this onslaught was the difference, just the vast gap, the stark contrast between the two quarterbacks. My goodness, Jalen Hurts had command, and at least before drives were stalled in the second half, allowed everybody out there to see how good this team can be when they're moving the football with big plays and taking shots down the field. It dried up in the second half. They get lucky in the sense that they're going up against the other part of this, which was just how bad Carson Wentz is. And it wasn't how bad Carson Wentz was. It was as bad as Carson Wentz is. Look, make no mistake. You saw a guy hold on to the football like a Division III quarterback. You saw a kid in Pop Warner hold on to the football like that and just get absolutely blasted by a rushing end. Did Jonathan Gannon and that defense do anything creative? They didn't need to. It's no knock. You don't get points against you for that. They did exactly what the game plan required them to do. Carson Wentz was so horrific with the football that they didn't even need to blitz him. And their offensive line in Washington is so banged up, depleted, just non-existent, that this was just man-on-man football. An absolutely beautiful thing. And then when you start to look at, okay, beyond Jalen Hurts, who clearly has full command of this team and this offense, who has no issues throwing the football down the field, then you start to look at some other stuff. And that other stuff has to be DeVonta Smith.
That's who he is. He's a great player, all-around player. You know, a Slim Reaper. By the eyes, he may be a little sly, but he plays like a big boy, and he is. He's a grown man.
DeVonta Smith was just that. Absolutely ridiculous. He had some amazing plays that correlate with teams giving up, sleeping, what have you on him, thinking that he's taken a step back. But that wasn't all Jalen Hurts had to say as we credit the Eagles for this.
I think I think as I said it out there on the field, the work we put in the offseason, which is supposed to show in times like this, the trust we have in one another, being on the same page, to see it paying off now is great. We know there's more to it, and we know it's just the beginning. But I have a numerous amount of trust in every guy on the field. 88, 11, 6, 16, 3. All the running backs, everybody. You see G Cop coming in there making a big time play when Dallas wasn't available. Same with Jack Stoll. So it takes a group effort, and together everyone achieves more.
Really, to hear Jalen Hurts, you could feel it in the locker room, right? If you're in there after a game, this is tangible here. This is a guy whose leadership qualities and capabilities on the field are carrying over. The team loves him. There is fun and joy that's returned to the sidelines. And it's no real knock on Carson Wentz, but there's no Batman cape or any of that stuff going on with Carson. It's just tight on the sidelines. And Carson Wentz was awful. Carson Wentz was one of the worst. Honestly, we saw Jalen Hurts back-to-back strong performances. Granted, it was only one quarter in this game, but what the hell is Carson Wentz right now? And how much regret do you think Washington has after this?
Off the play fake. Wentz, another drop back where he has to scramble and move, and that ball may have come out loose. Brandon Graham may have knocked it away, and Philadelphia has taken over inside the 25 of Washington.
7-step drops. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to be able to get to the edge right here. I mean, you're down there at about 11 yards deep and just keep on working. And when you get that pressure up front, there's nowhere to escape in the pocket. You can't climb the pocket. And there's Graham just continuing to do what he's done for 13 years, and that's put pressure on the opponent's quarterback.
Yeah, we'll credit Fox for all these, and it's just amazing to see Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, guys up front just penetrating one-on-one. Washington doing nothing to adjust, and Carson Wentz doing nothing to adjust. That was, and again, this was player-on-player ass-kicking right here. And the defense gets its props, rightfully so, because my goodness, how could you not walk away with that feeling great? The offense did the D no favors in the second half because it was as close as it should look on the scoreboard. Nick Sirianni and whoever else involved in these decision-making process, I guess, taking their feet off the gas, you don't get props for that. Oh, man, they survived. There was nothing to survive. You need to go through these motions. You need to come back to this game 6, 7, 8, 10 weeks from now, 12 weeks from now in the playoffs and remember what it's like to put a team out as opposed to just taking your foot off the gas for 2 full quarters, an entire second half. But the reason why they were even able to is a healthy combination of Carson Wentz just being dog you-know-what and this.
Ball belongs to me. I'm going to go get it.
Hurts, deep ball. DeVonte Smith looking for separation. Was he in bounds? He was. That's a catch down to the 16.
What a great adjustment on the tail end. Look at him over the shoulder, concentration, feet in bounds. Now, was he juggling it? Did he have possession right?
Yeah, he did. Had possession. No issues there. Now, that wasn't the only thing Jalen Hurts did. We know that with all the focus on DeVonta Smith, we will just sneak in A.J. Brown as well.
Trying to communicate through the noise. Hurts, slant, Brown, lunge, touchdown Philadelphia. A.J. Brown snaps it out of there for the score.
Top of the screen right here, and watch bad. Aaron's ball behind him. But like I said, plucking balls out of traffic. He reaches back there, grabs the ball. St. Juice on the coverage.
This offense is so difficult, so tough to stop, so tough to game plan. You are really earning your money if you're able to do anything to slow this offense down. And the only person that can truly slow this offense down, we found out, is Nick Sirianni. He's not going to get ripped. He's not going to get any crap, anything like that. But I mean, what are we talking about here? This offense should be going deep downfield every single possession, a shot downfield. You've got guys in A.J. Brown, who we've seen, Quez Watkins, who we've seen, and DeVonta Smith, who people wanted to forget after that first week. But what did we tell you coming into last week that we repeated coming into this week?
It's Hurts. It's a deep ball. Looking for DeVonta Smith. What a catch. Inside the 5.
Look at the concentration. Track the ball in the air. Go up. High pointed. Between 2 defenders. And if you're going to win late, you got to win early. Double move in the middle of that route. Beats Fuller. And then
wait. And then wait. Because he's not done. Not done at all. That's the biggest part.
They are moving that clock. Here is Hurts to the end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown by DeVonta Smith on a contested attempt.
What a beautiful thing it is to see DeVonta Smith come alive, as expected, as drafted, the homegrown product, remember, to see this young man shine. And then here, as he spoke with the Eagles following the game about, as you heard in the broadcast, these contested balls. If it ain't their ball, my ball, going up for it, whose ball is it?
50 type
ball, no bias.
Can you take us through the last play of the first half. What you saw there, specifically when the ball was coming out.
My ball and nobody.
That's it. His ball or nobody's. What an awesome thing this was. What an amazing victory this was. 3 big takeaways. Let's do it. 3 big takeaways. Number 1 is the Philadelphia Eagles right now have the most prolific, maybe outside of Baltimore or alongside Baltimore, the most prolific offense in the NFL, except for one thing, which is kind of crazy because we didn't necessarily think this coming into the season, but their rushing offense outside of Jalen Hurts, not great, not good. Jalen needs to be leading the charge here, but their rush offense aside, this Philadelphia Eagles offense is amazing. They can put up points with anybody. They can compete with any team. Doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl that you should be cheering right now down broad or getting your parade ready. It just means that this Eagles team is legit, that they're as good right now through 3 weeks as any team in the NFL. And you can make the argument that Jalen Hurts is playing as well as any quarterback in the NFL. And you can make the argument that the Philadelphia Eagles are as much of a contender as any other team is in the NFL. There's no argument whatsoever against that. There's just, well, let me argue another team. But you can't downplay what the Philadelphia Eagles have done so far in 3 weeks, at least from an offensive standpoint. Defense has just been much different and much better following week 1. Week 3, though, what a crazy outlier type game that the defense played. And I don't mean from them. I mean, like, they got a weird sparring partner, right? I mean, you came in there thinking you were going to get into a boxing match, and you wound up facing in a sparring match somebody who is far, far worse than you. Somebody who probably couldn't even stand up and keep their balance after you hit him a couple of times. Carson Wentz is atrocious. Carson Wentz is horrific. He is the worst starting quarterback right now. And I mean like a guy who was meant to be a starting quarterback, who's paid and expected to be a starting quarterback, not just holding on to his job. But Carson is there expected to be that. He is horrific. He has no pocket awareness. He's lost that entirely. He has no confidence in his throws. He can't move like he used to, and he just waits to get hit. He has no sense of urgency. This is anybody else playing this poorly, we would be running out of the NFL. And from simply, I don't care what happened with him. You could read the column about why he should be remembered in a positive light. But, man, that second takeaway is the defense played great, but I don't think they got a real test. It's almost like, all right, yeah, you take it, you go. There was no real challenge. And that's fine. It's the NFL. You take a win, especially on the road. But what are we doing here? That defense, man. All right, here's the last takeaway. Final takeaway. DeVonta Smith and Jalen Hurts are going to be a tremendous combination. And I think that A.J. Brown is, and this is going to be like a hard sell for some people because this isn't going to be negative by any means. I think it's a testament to who A.J. Brown is as both a player and a teammate. But at some point, there's going to be this internal realization that the offense needs to be fueled by Smith first, and then everything else trickles down. And again, that's not a negative. I'm not talking about trickle-down economics. I'm just saying as far as opening up a door for A.J. Brown to have one-on-one coverage, Dallas Goedert to have one-on-one coverage or just forgotten coverage. Figure out how you can continue to pad these guys in the backfield with the ball. Point being, though, is that Jalen Hurts to DeVonta Smith is going to be special. And there are so many ways from a creative standpoint that you can continue this relationship, grow and nurture this relationship, that it's going to just blow people away. To put the ball in DeVonta Smith's hands right away down the field, different types of plays, if it's motion, if it's different sets you can run with Smith in different spots, all of that it's wide open. But the combination of these two the friendship, the connection off the field. It's going to be a beautiful thing. It just sign me up for all of it. All of it. Now, before we get out of here, we have to do it. He's back. You knew he was coming up. You knew on the schedule that this was not going to be the easy, wow, Carson Wentz. And Doug Pederson is an icon. Doug Pederson is the best coach the Philadelphia Eagles ever had. He's better than Andy Reid here. Didn't last as long. Didn't provide as many moments. But Dougie P, Mr. Pederson, coach, Super Bowl champ, the guy did so many things for us as a fan base. The guy was so special to us, understood who we are, not just were while we were here, but continued to recognize who we are, and also understands his place in history here in Philadelphia. Because you may not be in a certain spot forever, but you may be stuck in history at that place. And that's what Doug is. He is right now just marked forever in history here. Foles and Wentz and so many others, yeah. I mean, Jim Schwartz even. But Doug Pederson as the man, and also as the guy who stood up to this organization, ultimately said, my job's not worth it. I'm going to go do my own thing and have my own freedoms and turn something else around like he did here in Philadelphia. I mean, he came in terrible circumstances following what would happen with Chip. Doug Pederson is back, and it's hard for me to honestly tell you here that a small piece of me, a small sliver of me is not rooting for Doug Pederson. Look, I already have him multiple times over from a betting standpoint to do a lot this year, but Doug P, he's back, and we're all rooting for Pederson, even if we're not rooting for the Jags this week.